So I needed a table saw, so I've gone and got myself a deal on the Evolution. It's the R255. That's how it comes. Right, so that's everything that comes with it. Your fence, riving knife, etc. I'm hoping that's going to be everything. Minimal boxing, apart from the big box. So that's pretty good so far. And like we said, the whole thing is very sturdy. So it comes in one piece like that. So you'll see the hex bolt at the back of here. This sits in there. Have a wee fiddle. And it'll sit in nicely. Once that's in there, take your handle, get it all set up. Put your finger at the back to hold the bolt, and then you just screw that into place. Once it's on securely, clip that back on. Now the purpose of this handle is to raise and lower the blade, you'll see there. But also on this one, you see the blade is now at 90. You can release that and you can turn this handle and you'll see you can angle the blade for your cuts. Okay, next step is to fit the fence. So looking at it, you'll see there's a bolt here or a screw, and there's one on the other side. For the fence, you're going to be working in this plane here, so it looks like the name faces out, because you'll see on here you've got a notch here and a notch here. So the idea is to slot it on that side first, and then onto there. And you'll see that the slot fits in there. Now in order to operate the fence, you'll be sent one of these, a screw and an Allen key. So the idea is to put the screw into there, so it sits down into it. Attach your Allen key first, just for ease, and then it goes over and just tighten it up to finger tightness. Once that's done, you can use that to operate your fence. The fence locks in place there and unlocks there. Rack and pinion, which is brilliant for the price of the saw. So it allows you to move that fence, and you know, hopefully, that this side of the fence, the distance, will be the same as that side. So there'll be none of that fence going like this. So good bit of kit that. Okay, on the top of the saw, to access the riving knife or to attach the riving knife, this plate here, which is securely fixed. Take a flathead screwdriver, put it in that hole there, just turn it a short way, just to there, stick your finger in there, and it allows you to lift this out of place, and then you've got access to the blade, and will also fit the riving knife. So you get these two attachments for the blade adjustment. There they are. So the one with the fork side goes on this side of the blade, and then the hex side goes on the bolt down there. That's them attached. I found this one a bit of a scutter to get on, this one very easy. So to loosen it's this way. To tighten, it's this way. Now, this blade comes with it. It's a multi-cut blade. If you're working with wood predominantly, probably need a new blade, a better blade than that. But to loosen, pull them like that, and to tighten, push like that. Now to fit the riving knife, you'll see just down there, there's a switch or a clip. Just pull that back, it should flick up like this. And in there, the riving knife goes. So in this orientation, the riving knife goes into that slot there. Give it a wee shuggle. Once it's in firmly, just put that back. It should be a bit tougher to do this time. Push it down, and that's the riving knife in place above the blade. So to show you the riving knife there, just extend the blade up to its fullest. That's the riving knife sat above the blade, and then put this back on here. That's now securely in position. Okay, next bit is this. This is the dust extraction and also protection. And you'll see on here, it's got an adjustable screw here, and it's got a spring-loaded screw here. These are used to attach it to the riving knife there. First things first, the adjustment screw, just undo that, like so. Take that off, let that bit drop out. And then attach, sit this over, you'll see the two holes. This sits at the back hole here. So sit it over the hole, push that through, and then screw it into the other side. There's a spring on here. You just compress that spring. Finger tightness. And then this here, this goes back through the hole. And just do that up, finger tight to start with. And the whole idea of that is you've got your securely fitted here, and what you can do is you can tighten this screw here depending on where you want this to sit. So it's maximum levels here, height here, and then it can obviously go down also to here. So if you were using the blade for cutting, you could set this accordingly. Again, it's for safety and for dust extraction too. Okay, next feature, crosscut sled. It just screws on into this channel here. You just tighten that screw. It comes pretty much assembled like that. You just slot it into that channel there. And you can make your cross cuts adjustable by here, and then you can turn it to whatever angle you want. 60 degrees it looks like, just over on both sides. And you can hold it in place, make your cross cuts, or you can tighten that down. And this is an amazing feature of this saw for the price. That locks that in, and you'll see that there's also a moving piece here. Under here, there's a spring clip. Pull it down, turn it clockwise for about 90 degrees, and that releases this. You'll see how smooth that is. There's almost no play in it. So if you're making a cross cut, there might be a bit of play in that. It does look quite tight. We'll test this all later, but that's quite tight, and that'll give you a really good cross cut. It does have a limitation on the end there, however, that's pretty good. Now another feature with a crosscut sled is obviously the front. So this just sits on here, very simple to set up. Tighten these bolts here, And once they're tight, you can obviously sit your wood along here. Final piece to put on is dust extraction. This comes in the packet as well. And obviously you've got your dust extraction at the back there, and you can angle this accordingly wherever your dust extraction is being taken out. And obviously, as we mentioned before, you've got an additional one here which will extract up here, so really good with the dust extraction. At the side you've also got a nice handy place to put your tools, and you'll see on there the Allen key. And then around to the business side of the saw down here, you've got a nice start stop, bit of safety there, and your little push stick slots nicely into there as well, so it's all quite well thought through. Another good feature of this saw is if you're making large cuts or big bits of wood and the fence goes over the saw here, you've got this feature which you can utilise, and that sits around like that, and it extends the surface area of here, so your wood will sit on there and it won't fall away. So that's a nice little feature there, and obviously it can extend quite far out. And then when you're coming back in, you can just re-rack that and use your rack and pinion to bring it back. Couple of things to check. Just check that this fence is square to this edge here. So just take your square and just roll it up and make sure that it's uniformly touching the fence there, and also at the back end here. Just make sure it's uniformly touching the fence. And this is from setup, and it is. You can just also run it along this edge here and just double check that edge. Here it looks like it's ever so slightly off here. It's sort of sitting back like that, just by a millimetre or so. So we'll get that adjusted. To make any adjustment, use your Allen key provided. It fits into these slots here. You can tighten and adjust, tighten it or loosen it, and move that accordingly to tighten it both sides, just so you make sure that when you're finished it's absolutely touching, and that is perpendicular. The fence is perpendicular to the edge of the saw here. Take your time. Once it's in place, tighten it all up, done. Next thing to look at is this plate here. So when it comes, it may well be flat across here, and you can test that putting your ruler across. You'll see here that there's a gap, and again at the back there's no gap, and at the back there is no gap. So it just needs to come up at the front here. Your supplied Allen key, one of them comes with a little screw attachment. You'll see here, you put it in there and you can screw anti-clockwise to rise it, clockwise to lower it, and just screw away until that is level on both sides. And again, just take your time. It needs to go down there actually. There we go. Okay, final adjustments, just to ensure that when the blade is shown on 0 degrees, so 90 degrees, that when you put your square, the whole blade's touching. However, you'll see that there's a little bit of light at the bottom there. So the way to adjust that is underneath the saw here. You'll see that there is a lever. Unscrew that back bit here, and then this then allows you to screw left and right, which adjusts the blade. So take your time, make sure it's 90. So next, set your blade at 45-degree cut by adjusting this steering wheel here, and then set your square against there and just make sure there's no gap along that edge there. Seems to be that you're always checking, but you can't be too careful. Get a longer square, sit it against the blade, check both sides. Now, that's basically checking that the blade is square in this orientation, because it might go out of alignment like that. So that's a pretty good cut, considering it's the multi-blade and it's just on a bit of shearing timber, so very good. Okay, there we are, 30-degree cut, perfect. So there we go. That's it all set up, looking good. It's brand new, so obviously you'd expect it to be good. Time will tell, but in such a small workshop, I think this is going to be quite an asset, and then over time I'll improve it, better blade, etc. But that's it.